We're jumping straight into the game and spawning in the bottom left-hand side of the map. It is from France, ShaDoWn.
And over in the top right-hand side of the map, we have the blue Zerg player from Team Ago. He is Elazer. What, was that a caw?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Why wouldn't you make like a laser sound like pew?
Oh, because it's the Ago. It's they have a hawk or an eagle or something as their mascot.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
People can see it on the ground actually, so it sounds less bad on broadcast than it does for us because we can't actually see the eagle on the ground, whereas you guys can.
Yeah. That is true. Fair enough. All right. You know, well played. Well played.
Thank you.
Quick note is that ShaDoWn trying to do exactly what we were talking, like a little bit of what we were talking about, just getting in your opponent's face a little bit early, doing the usual, like send out the probe at the very beginning of the game, try and do the hatch block, which oftentimes does set up well into like being a bit more aggressive, just because your opponent's third is taken instead of their natural, so like their creep spread takes a little longer to join up together. But we'll see what exactly these players decide to go for, because I really agree with what you said, Paulo. Like the first player to get aggressive is going to have, I think, a pretty big edge in this match.
Yes, indeed. Everything's pretty standard so far. However, as both players are going to be expanding, and ShaDoWn taking his cybernetic score. Is it ShaDoWn? Or we were discussing this with Roddy actually, and Roddy was saying that it's ShaDoWn if we pronounce it by the name on screen, but I was saying it's ShaDoWn if we really go by the capitalization. So what do you have an opinion?
I mean, I think the way you just said it, which I will never be able to pronounce, does sound more French. So ShaDoWn. Like, yeah,
I see.
That one. It sounds kind of like you're looking down on someone as you say it. Like,
wait, that's the French way, Ravi? You have just alienated all of our French audience now.
Look, I mean, French are pretty good at StarCraft, right? They have a right to look down on people a little bit, so.
That is true. French and Germans are pretty good at StarCraft. Outside of Korea, I would say those are the strongest two countries. But Poland has always been a very strong country in its own right, so in a certain sense, we also have a classic matchup on that regard with two representatives of either country.
Yeah,
France and Poland, that is.
Yeah, I mean, we just saw a Polish player win their match in that last series. Mana pulling one through. But yeah, we got a Stargate opening coming out over here for ShaDoWn. So he's going to be starting it off with a Void Ray. And okay, so here's the way I would put it, Paulo. Like the nice way that I would put it, the best way I can put it, that is like really kind, is that ShaDoWn is very good at capitalizing on strong opportunities that Protoss players are presented to with a given meta. That's a really good way of saying that I think he's very good at being a very abusive Protoss player. Like, I think he's very good at identifying, like, here's a really strong, like, build order or, like, style that is extremely difficult for, like, my opponent's race to deal with. And I sort of feel like that might be along the lines of what we see from ShaDoWn. That's, like, my gut.
I completely agree. And I think that, yeah, I mean, abusive is a word with a negative connotation, but you could also say he's a very cerebral player, and it would have the same idea behind it, right? Like he is actively taking advantage of whatever he can think of, and he will be at the forefront of thinking about those things. So this time around, it's going to be a proxy gateway, for example. So we're going to see him try to be proactive whilst expanding. So, and it's actually going to be glaives as well. So we're going to see some harassment from his end. Usually the Void Ray tends to be a little bit more defensive of an option. But he is, you know, he's being tricky. I mean, he's going to show a Void Ray. He's going to say, don't attack me, don't make roaches. And then he's going to attack with adepts, which thrive against roaches.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, that Void Ray is hunting around for overlords and everything, but it's not too far out, so we'll be able to help defend this third base if it needed defense. But he's already got the adepts set up, and Elazer didn't exactly go hard on the number of Zerglings that were made. So Zerglings are going to get forced back, and they don't really do a lot of poking forward or anything. So when is Elazer actually going to get a scout out on this? When is he going to realize what's going on? Because this is absolutely the kind of style that you usually have to react to.
Yeah, I think ShaDoWn is going to be able to get in there before roaches. I even spoke, by the way, it's adepts thrive against non-roaches, right? They thrive against Zerglings, and that's exactly what ShaDoWn is going to find here. So he's just waiting for his upgrade to kick in, and then he's going to show up unannounced with a bunch of adepts, and I think that this stands a good shot at doing a good amount of damage. The Roach Warren's done, but Elazer hasn't started producing any roaches yet, and this is all mind games from that initial Void Ray. And look at that, even clearing the Watchtower to make way for his adepts to make it so that they get spotted at the last possible second, right? Like, he is very, very good at this.
To give you an idea, Elazer had a drone set up to make a 4th base during this that the adepts just went and killed. So Elazer is completely unprepared for this. 11 roaches are about to pop in. Whoa, the adepts are actually going to shade in and start killing off the high energy queens, so transfusions are not going to be available. But this is going to be a very, very direct fight. He's trying to take the Lings, not really able to get involved, but the Roach is getting a lot of pot shots off on those adepts.
Yeah, a lot of the queens will go down. I'm a little bit surprised that ShaDoWn didn't go into the main, or at least shoved off a couple of those adepts to go and try to kill more workers. But this is still doing pretty okay. The roaches are going to struggle to chase around, and the Lings have mostly been taken care of. The queens are almost non-existent, so I wouldn't mind seeing additional Void Rays being produced. But ShaDoWn is still looking for a little bit more damage than he has found so far.
Yeah, you absolutely have to do a lot of economic damage with this kind of attack, because you're gradually bleeding off these adepts. And you don't really have a massive follow-up behind this oftentimes. Yes, there's like an Immortal or so being produced. There is a 3rd base, but ShaDoWn, I don't know. 13 workers, he's still got some of these adepts alive. Do you feel like this has been enough?
It's enough if he can defend, because he was producing workers behind this. So he is at 63 workers of his own and trying to keep pressure with the adepts. This is really nice from ShaDoWn, but Elazer's not turning back. And that's the scary thing for ShaDoWn, is that Elazer is looking for a kill move here. If ShaDoWn can hold comfortably, that Immortal, please. Okay, there you go. That's the pullback that he very much needs. And yeah, he might be able to hold now. We'll see.
Sentry is going to need to use these force fields very, very well. Shield battery overcharge can also be very important, but we already see that one of the shield batteries finish up in the mineral line. Is he going to overcharge that? He has the energy for it.
Yeah, he will if he needs to. For the time being, taking 2 split-up fights is amazing for ShaDoWn, and this is looking pretty good. Even the 2 queens, this is reckless from Elazer to bring the 2 queens out of, let me look. He has 4 queens, and he's bringing 3, so that's, you know, he really is going all in. He does not have much of a follow-up. This is a very Elazer fashion thing to do. There's still that shield battery, and overcharge has still yet to be spent, so things are still looking good for ShaDoWn, and I can't believe these queens are here.
Yeah, and remember that the moment that ShaDoWn feels like he's going to start holding or start pushing this back, he can also still do some aggressive warpins on the other side of the map. But a beautiful cancel on a lot of those freshly warping in units over there by Elazer, using those corrosive vials to the maximum potential. But there's the shield battery overcharge. He's picking away at a lot of these roaches and ravagers, and even the queens on the right-hand side. But the ravagers getting involved in on that left-hand side, almost depower a pylon that could have depowered 2 of the warp gates, slow down some of the production, might be able to depower another one of the pylons that's powering the Robo. That's going to be a big blow. Is ShaDoWn, I mean, is he going to be able to hold over here? It looks like he's barely starting to make it.
Yeah, the thing is, there's barely any reinforcements on the side of Elazer. He's floating 800, 900 resources, so he would be able to reinforce, but guess what he's lacking? It's Larva. He brought all of his queens.
Oh man, this is brutal. He's gonna start pulling back over here. The Immortals, honestly, with their Hardened Shield still available over there, gonna start taking some really good fights versus these roaches, even with Focus Fire over here from Elazer. Oh, Corrosive Vials can land on 2 probes, not hitting the majority of them, but this is definitely turning into a hold over here from ShaDoWn in a very strong position for him.
Yeah, and it looked scary. And when it looked scary, what I was looking at was the minimap. There was no stream of blue. And then after looking at the minimap, I look at the bank, because it's, you know, you have to remember he brought all of those queens, and that really ended up hurting the attack of Elazer. I really wish he hadn't brought all, at least keep a couple back. I think he might have kept 1, but if he did, it was the one with the least energy or something, because he certainly didn't have any larva to work with. Still floating nearly 800 minerals on a 45 worker economy. It's unacceptable, but at the same time, it's, you know, it's expected, because you just don't have the ability to inject. It's not like he was missing injects. He just didn't have queens.
Yeah, he's starting to, I think he just finished up some of those queens back at home, so he can start the injects again, but he's also just busy micring around versus Army, and he's going to be able to shut down a 4th base. But actually, one thing I'd love to see, yes, he already did it. ShaDoWn warps in some adepts at that proxy pylon as he sees, well, you're on my side of the map. You probably don't have a lot back at home to defend against some adepts. So he starts sending him in, and now Elazer's going to have to both micro the defense back at home as well as this offense over on this side of the map.
Yeah, and ShaDoWn has done an amazing job of splitting his army. all throughout this game. A lot of the sentries, however, go down for free, but yet still he's preparing for a very strong flank here, and there will be a sandwich onto this unit. Elazer has to find a way out, and he will through the right-hand side. ShaDoWn will chase, but without those sentries, there's not much that he can do to really catch here.
Yeah, it's going to have to give up on that. Fourth base is likely going to get canceled by these Zerglings, so that's going to be a nice win there for Elazer. And Elazer, I mean, he's starting to make some kind of awkward trades here and there, but he is starting to find some value with some of them, especially with this hit and run tactics between the third and the fourth base. Disruptor gets a big hit, but is it going to have any backup to survive?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, the battery is there to help it, but there has to be additional units. And ShaDoWn, for the first time, actually mis-splitting his army, kind of just condensed these units to death. So now he's going to have to pull back and decide between his third and his fourth. And Elazer is somehow making this work. He won't stop, can't stop. And at this point, he has managed to spend all of his bank. So out of nowhere, he has a lot more units coming in. And this is looking all of a sudden pretty good for the poll. I can't believe this.
Yeah, he has done an amazing job, and the Immortals going down versus the Ravagers that they don't do as well against.
Wow.
The Roaches overpower the left. Elazer takes the game. Holy cow. What a comeback from a really, really scary looking situation.
Yeah, that was a steal and a half, and you can see it in both players' faces, right? Like ShaDoWn with a lot of regret, Elazer very happy to take that. Elazer is the type of player to go with the flow. Like, sometimes he'll go in a mindset of I'm all in, and he will not stop until it's done. And that's exactly what he did. He was floating 800 resources, 900 resources at some point. He's still just, you know, he's like, okay, I guess I'll remake my queens, and eventually he manages to spend everything. And ShaDoWn, I mean, he really just failed when he split himself or spread himself a little bit too thin, I think, right? Like, taking that fourth was very greedy, and I was commending him on how he was splitting his army, but eventually all of the sentries get picked up or picked off on the way up that ramp, and things just started falling apart little by little. So a sad game one for ShaDoWn, and a very, very nice win to steal for Elazer.
Yeah, I'm getting like flashbacks to, you know, Elazer and just having exactly what you were saying, like a switch that flips and is like, okay, from here to the end of the game, I will continue to attack. And my God, Elazer really did make it work. And I think just positionally, he was finding these opportunities to pull ShaDoWn out into these weird spots. And then exactly what you were talking about, things like the sentries getting picked off on the ramp and everything, all starting to cause problems. The ShaDoWn really just started caving to the positional pressure of all of these units kind of swarming in from everywhere. That's actually, I feel like, a great example of, it's not that ShaDoWn is like a bad player, it's that Elazer from a bad position was able to force these like weird mistakes out of ShaDoWn with his positioning.
Yeah, and just attacking nonstop. I mean, at some point also ShaDoWn had to be confused by the amount of units coming out of Elazer, because, you know, that was so many more units because he had a bank, right? So at some point, Elazer could have maybe ended the game earlier if he had kept on with those injects. But instead, ShaDoWn probably feels like, okay, we held. And when he feels like he held, he takes down that fourth, he makes unnecessary investments, and Elazer capitalizes on it with his ninja bank, essentially. So it's a really strange game to read, I think, from the side of ShaDoWn.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that does leave us going into game number 2 with Elazer leading up 1-0. So far, undefeated in his groups against the undefeated player in PvZ from, you know, recent results. No longer. That's true. It's looking pretty good so far for Elazer if you can actually carry out more comebacks like that, or even just take a lead in the earlier stages of the game. But we're heading on to Jagannatha, so interested to see where this one's going to go. This is definitely a map.
What map are we heading into, Ravi?
Jagannath. Heading into Jagannath.
Jagannath. Got him?
Yeah, close enough.
I failed again. Did I fail?
I honestly, okay, here's the thing, Paulo. Like, I'm gonna out you on the broadcast really quickly because we keep talking about pronunciations.
Okay.
There's like pronunciations that people say for like a lot of specific words. I just like, they just go over my head. Like, if I stop and think and someone asks me, am I pronouncing this right? I would be able to tell them yes or no. But if you asked me like retroactively, like, hey, did I pronounce that word right? Like, 10 seconds ago, I'd be like, I don't know, say it again. Right. So like, I think that you mispronounced my name a lot wrong, But
really?
like, I don't actually even know that.
Say
for
Robbie.
Yeah. So
that's bad. That's bad.
Honestly, it's fine. You know, look, we're an inclusive society over here. All right. I'm pretty sure if we really wanted to say things like the Koreans probably pronounce the map.
Is it just Ravi? Is it just Ravi? I mean, everyone calls you Ravi, but I'm like,
but it's Ravi. Okay, imagine Scooby-Doo saying Lovey. Okay.
Lovey. Why would Scooby-Doo say Lovey?
Scooby-Doo begins all of his words with an R.
Oh, I see. Robbie.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's it.
Oh, okay. So I just have to turn into Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, exactly. Just every single time you need to like take a moment, pause, and center yourself as Scooby-Doo whenever you say my name. That's my official advice.
That's what I'll start doing then. Robbie.
As thrilling as this conversation is, I think this game. I'm imagining.
I mean, the loading screen. It's the loading screen. The loading screen is It seems like one of the players has lagged out. So this conversation must continue on, I suppose.
Oh no.
Oh no. Yeah. So we are going into Juggernaut. Okay. It was Elazer who disconnected this time around. So
I think it was ShaDoWn because it said Elazer won the game. So
you're right. It said Elazer won the game. Yeah. Hopefully ShaDoWn's internet is all right.
I do quickly want to just note on like group standings and stuff because I know we talked about that a little bit with Mana and Hellraiser and everything, but ShaDoWn is sitting 1-1, which is like definitely not too bad of a spot. But Elazer is actually he hasn't dropped a map yet, which is a really good spot. Now, one important thing to remember about the group stages here is that if you are in one of the top 2 spots for your group, you don't just kind of advance to the next playoff stage or something. You actually advance to the winner's bracket. And basically that means you have like an extra life. You can afford to lose a match and not be out of the tournament when it goes to the playoffs. So Elazer is really doing a great job setting himself up to potentially move into that winner's bracket and have like a really, really beautiful spot moving into that.
Yeah, that's a great point that we don't highlight enough. So yeah, thank you for that, Robbie. I think it's Robbie. Because it's gonna be extremely important for all of his players to do that, I think.
Yeah, and I bring it up because there's another monster in this group in the name of Clem that I think both of these players still have yet to play. So I think a lot of people are expecting Clem will be one of the people that is probably topping the group, if not being number 1, probably being number 1. So the second spot is going to be a very, very contentious spot. And Elazer, is doing a great job so far, setting himself up for that. As is Drogo, actually.
Yeah, Elazer definitely the man to beat after Clem, I would say, in this group, though. So we'll be looking to Elazer Drogo, as we will be looking to Elazer versus Clem. To a certain degree, I don't much believe in Drogo to beat Clem, but I do believe that there's a chance that Elazer beats Clem, similarly to how I believe that there's a chance that Drogo beats Elazer, right? Like something like that.
Yeah, I can see that. It's so funny because basically when you think of skill, it's not like skill is actually just a number, right? If skill was actually just a number, then the higher MMR player would always beat the lower MMR player, right? But it's actually like kind of a range and situations really matter. And funny enough, as you say, Elazer could do something like that. I think that this guy up here in the top right-hand side of the map is a player who's capable of beating his opponents. He is ShaDoWn.
And the bottom left-hand side, playing for Team AGO, or AGO, it's Elazer. You were talking, or Sue was talking about Elazer's exercise routines and him discovering exercising. He is very big on exercise. I follow him on Strava. He sometimes gives me kudos. He sometimes actually, there's that chat. There's a chat called the Great Guys of with some of the top Europeans who are very close friends, and there is also another chat called the Average Guys, which is a chat made by the Great Guys. Yeah. Where it's more inclusive, basically. Oh, I heard a little bit of an echo. Okay, but in the Great Guys, sometimes Elazer will stream his exercising routines.
Oh.
We'll be playing games and stuff like that, and Elazer will join in and just start streaming himself at the park doing pull-ups or just running and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, this is some like tier 70 Patreon level content right there. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of it. Maybe one day he'll feel comfortable doing it on his actual stream. One day.
I think he would feel comfortable. I think his audience, like, he has a pretty tough audience, because usually he's like, okay, what exercise should I do, guys? What exercise should I do? And no one really answers. You know, like everyone's just, whichever one you want, Miko. You know, we're playing. So yeah, they haven't been like super successful. Yeah, they haven't been super successful. His streams with that crowd, to be honest.
But you know, I love that though. Like, okay, I've never actually seen someone who's like, or imagine someone who's like, okay, I'm gonna go work out, but I'll take requests on what I'll do. Like, that's actually like a 10,000 IQ brain move to me. I'm like, oh my god, if you're just streaming, you could literally take requests on the exercises you'll do. Like, this sounds horrible for actually building proper body mass and, like, you know, regulating yourself and making sure you have like rest days for certain things. But oh my god, that's actually brilliant and horrible.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, when he asked, I told him that he should do the thing where you have where you're hanging upside down and then do the
sit-ups?
pull. Yeah, but he couldn't do it. Or he didn't do it, or at least I wasn't paying attention because the game was starting. So yeah, I'm not sure what happened, but that was my request because no one was giving anything. You know, no one was saying anything.
So basically, he takes requests but then doesn't do them.
Yeah, or he might. I don't know. I mean, I said something that I thought he might not be able to do. A drone goes down for the first action in this game, as there is an Oracle follow-up as well. Now, these two Adepts actually misfire onto the Queen, though there's not much to fire at the time being.
Yeah, he keeps the Adepts alive, though, which is nice. Yeah, this has all been like a pretty par for the course game. ShaDoWn did another one of those early probe scouts to try and block the hatchery, forces the third, sends the Adepts across the map. Oracle not going to be able to save one of those Adepts. The other Adept looks like it was about to be joined by another Adept from the Natural, but he ends up sending that back. I was wondering if he's actually going to try and go back in, find a bit more scouting information and damage, but the Oracle is actually staying back at home as well. So playing a bit more defensive this game, really just saying, I want to get up my third. I have plans for the later stages.
Yes, indeed. So, yeah, this should be pretty good. Lambo in the chat saying that I'm flexing that I got into the grade, guys. All right.
I'm sadly just an average guy. So
it's a big flex. It's a big flex.
You know, you also did a big flex then too, because you're also in the great guys.
Yeah.
But I think that was already a given. You know, Paulo, you are a great guy.
You're a great guy too, Ravi. But you're not.
I'm an average guy.
Great. Yeah. Yeah. You're a great guy in my heart.
Aw, thanks. I mean, still an average guy with European hearts. But, you know, yeah. Just kidding. Okay. Anyways, we do have Twilight Council coming on out over here for ShaDoWn. So he's going to be gradually making his way forward into his next stage of the game plan. Now, last game he was going for the Resident Enclaves upgrade and everything, but usually when you're doing that, it's kind of more of like a timing, rally out a ton of those early game Adepts. Usually if you're going to go for one of these later on Twilight Councils, you are looking to go for something like Blink or Charge. It is going to be Blink.
Yes, indeed. And Blink is a little bit out of a choice these days, I feel like. Oh, it goes! Oh. That's good. That's huge. I mean, that's a big stasis trap. That Oracle was never going to survive. The second one also might suffer the same fate, as these Adepts are trying to pick off some additional workers, but not actually being microed for the time being. So they will only get 2 for their troubles, and they will actually end up falling. The aftermath, I mean, not so great for ShaDoWn, as he loses 2 Oracles and all of the Adepts. But a nice start with that stasis.
Yeah, honestly, a really hectic few seconds there, because there were a few Lings on the other side of the map killing probes that were rallying over the third at the same time that the Oracle was throwing down stasis, at the same time Adept shaded into the main base, at the same time the 2 of the Oracles were trying to run away from some Queens. Like, literally action happening in 4 different places, all in the exact same, like, 6-second window. So good job by both these players, actually handle all of it relatively well.
Yeah, ShaDoWn, unfortunately, with that revelation, will not pick up on the Infestation Pit, which is going to be seemingly what Elazer's tech of choice is going to be. Most likely, we are going to see the Roaches escorting Swarm Hosts to the other side of the map. So we'll see what ShaDoWn's answer is going to be to that.
Yeah, interested to see how this is going to shape out. Hive already getting on started as well. So
wow.
An infestation pit going to be using for teching up to further out units. And
yeah.
This is definitely, I mean, this is not the most common way to play, I would say.
No, I never expected the Hive there. I guess he's trying to go into Vipers or something of the likes, anticipating maybe that there's going to be Disruptors or Colossus, but ShaDoWn at the time being hasn't really added either of those things. His Robo is just now finishing, so we'll see if this pays off.
Yeah, fourth base gets canceled. That's a Force Field doesn't quite snag any of those extra Zerglings, and man, Elazer just doing such a great job with these small little squads of Zerglings. Not only finding the cancel on the fourth, but I was gonna say, you know, finding a little bit of damage over there on that bottom right hand side. But these Zerglings are still alive. They're killing off the pylon over by that fourth base, just, you know, slowing things down even more. So Hallucinated Warp Prism is actually really cute. Hopefully going to try and bait out a response there from Elazer, draw some units back, because he has just been getting aggressed so much so far.
Yes, indeed. An Overlord will be donated, but Elazer usually has Overlords to spare this time around. Yeah, he also has a few more, and actually he's nearing max at this point. Lurker then being added as well, and we know that the Hive is already completed, so Lurkers will be able to get their upgrades going, and that is probably what Elazer was looking to use the Hive for. So very interesting choices here as a second Robo, and the Robotics Bay is also coming online right now, so Disruptors is going to be the choice for ShaDoWn, but option to go into Vipers very easily for Elazer.
Oh man, yeah, Vipers can be really, really complicated for the player who's got those Disruptors out, but man, Elazer just has such a massive army as well. The Hydras, like you were saying, starting to slowly get added on, but he's maxed out right now, so he actually needs to free up some supply before he can make more Hydras. He literally has just one or two coming on out, but these Roaches going to be freeing up some supplies. They both trade out pretty effectively over here versus a few Stalkers, and maybe going to try and go for a kill on the fourth. No, he's going to just pull back for now.
These Disruptors need to be massive, and actually Elazer paying attention on both sides of things. This Disruptor will get a decent shot, but nice split at the end there from Elazer. The second one will catch something like 4 Roaches, so that's not too bad for ShaDoWn, but he has a lot more work to do. And now spotting the Disruptors, Elazer goes straight into 3 Vipers.
Yeah, now those Vipers are going to take a bit of time to actually get involved in the fight, so I think ShaDoWn has a little bit more time bought just by having those Disruptors out. It's going to have to wait for the Vipers to pop, and then they have to get the energy, then they have to make their way across the map. So maybe in another like 40 or so seconds, ShaDoWn is going to have a really, really big concern, but he's going into the Fleet Beacon and the double Stargates here. This is I mean, as we saw in the PvP, it's actually a pretty good map for just kind of turtling up and getting up that big, scary Skytoss army.
Yeah, but will he be given the space to do that? I mean, it's not going to be easy. There's also a Templar Archives coming up, but ShaDoWn not really, you know, he doesn't really have a great deal of economy of a bank. He is adding additional cannons to try and hold on, but it's not going to be an easy hold. The Vipers are now out on the field as well, and potentially ready to start adding some value here as they are crossing the map finally. They have 2 abducts each, and that is more than enough to completely potentially crush this army. But the Lurkers are going to have to unburrow, so that is kind of where maybe ShaDoWn can find a little bit of breathing room. A lot of links as well. I don't know, I really like Elazer's army against ShaDoWn here.
Yeah, me as well. I do wonder if he does need to actually start hitting in or like starting to push in soon, because I do get a little bit more worried about his army as like the number of carriers and other things start to come out. But I guess he is adding on his own Spire. He is starting to get additional, I mean, a lot of upgrades out over here. Ooh, good nice pickoff on 1 Viper.
Yeah, that's huge actually, but still, there's still 4 abducts, so all of these Disruptors potentially could get picked off. I don't mind this from ShaDoWn. 2 shots at once, but only 1 connecting onto 1 single Lurker, unfortunately for him. So with this, Elazer is going to gain a very strong position to siege up this 4th base. ShaDoWn is gonna have to give that up. At the same time, his 3rd is also being sieged by Roach Ravager. A lot of Disruptors left over could connect onto these Lurkers, but Elazer, anticipating this, will unburrow and not actually take any losses in the process.
Yeah, Stalkers with the Shield Battery Overcharge able to push out the Roaches and Ravagers on the left-hand side, but the Nexus goes down, and even as the Disruptors try to find some more kills or even just damage over here, they do not out-one-shot the Lurkers. So they do a bit of damage, but now there's nothing else over here to buffer for them. They are just getting gradually pushed back further and further. And ShaDoWn really in a lot of trouble. The carrier's finally coming on out. And I think that the Vipers have all but pulled back at this point, so they're not quite around to help deal with these carriers just yet.
Yeah, some big disruptor shots there. ShaDoWn still at a decent supply mark. Elazer definitely has the economy to work with, so he's definitely in a comfortable spot still. But ShaDoWn, if he can get maxed and restabilize this fourth, he still very much has a shot at this game. Those carriers were revealed, so he's trying to make something before Elazer can react to them, and we see that Elazer already has 13 corruptors on the way, so this is unlikely to work for ShaDoWn. Elazer is actually gonna pull him back, and that might be a blessing in disguise for ShaDoWn, who would otherwise potentially just lose this army across the map.
Yeah, he's going to be able to keep this army alive as he needs to keep his probes alive. And he's still losing quite a few of them, as I think actually a majority of his probes are over at this base trying to mine. And he'll be able to keep even his gas causers and stuff alive. So at the end of the day, a good defense there from ShaDoWn. And
nice.
He's continuing to get up. He did actually keep up his top left-hand base that was establishing as that attack happened. So that's also going to be another little blessing there, is keeping both of those bases alive is really nice.
Yeah, most definitely. And that base in the corner, it can also be walled off. I like to wall it off personally against Zerg with Protoss, especially when you are going something like air, just to completely make it so that, you know, you can't get run by in it. And you can also like do a recall of probes if need be. But instead, ShaDoWn has it wide open. And here is the forces of Elazer, mostly lurkers on this side, some Zerglings to support. He will spot that new base and take siege here. At the same time, he is hitting with a squad of Lynx, it looks like, on the other side of the map. Vipers are trying to do what they can to mitigate the effect of these Tempests and Carriers. I feel like ShaDoWn can almost just move on top of this. That is a lot of Corruptors, actually, as I say that.
Yeah, and the Lurkers are also set up in a pretty annoying spot. They're actually sieged up pretty far back, surprisingly far back. So this is really tough. ShaDoWn is about to just basically lost 2 bases. He has to do something over here, but the 2 Lurkers are actually picking off some of these High Templars and these ground units, and now the High Templars are completely exposed to the Zergling, the Disruptors as well. I think this might just be the game-deciding fight right here, Cats.
Yeah, it looks like it. There's not really any Void Rays to support. The Storms just weren't there. The Disruptor shots actually killed a Changeling. So that didn't help. And Elazer is going to close things out in 2-0 fashion. Quite convincing as well. So very